to the other big thing that happened early this morning, like 5 a.m. The 49ers signed tight end George Kittle to a 4-year,
76.4.
I love that you have that memorized. I know it's 19.1 million per year, which is ironic because if you guys were here last week, there was a lot of rumors about George Kittle. Diana Rossini came out with a report saying, one, that the 49ers and Kittle were far apart, and then two, that George Kittle wanted to be the highest paid tight end in the NFL. George Kittle then himself came out and said, none of this is true. Your sources are wrong. I got a little giggle, and you and I asked, he wasn't clear. She reported like 5 different things, and he just said it's wrong. So he wasn't clear on what part was wrong. With the fact that he now has a new contract, I would say maybe the fact that they were far apart was wrong. Him wanting to be the highest paid tight end, not wrong. I love how petty players are, and Kittle deserves to be the highest paid tight end
no
in
question.
NFL. But I love, for all you who don't know, the Arizona Cardinals just paid Trey McBride, their tight end, $19 million. So Kittle went 19.1, which actually I think is a steal. When I saw $19 million for Trey McBride, I thought Kittle was going to ask for 20.
Me
so
too.
I love that he was just like, I just want another 100,000. Like, this is, to me, that is like an ego. Like, I need to be the highest paid tight end.
Oh, sure. It's bragging rights. And Kittle hosting tight end university in Nashville, he wants to be in that setting, knowing that he's the highest paid tight end in the league. It's cachet, and it's ego, but he's earned that. So good for George. Last week we were talking about how Kittle might be concerned more about the timing, that he might be looking for more guaranteed years as opposed to money. So what he ended up doing is he said, okay, you guys give on making me the highest paid tight end, and I will give on the years. And so basically it's a 2-year deal. We don't know the details yet, but we do know that $40 million is guaranteed. So that's the first 2 years, and then there's probably language where it isn't guaranteed after that. So what George is doing is he's banking on himself. He's betting that he can still be a great player and deserve to get another extension in 2 years. That's his thinking on this. So he's showing a lot of confidence. He still has the ability to just say that if my body breaks down, I've got options. I can go to wrestling. I can go to TV. I can still do plenty. But for him, he's still setting it up where I think I'm still going to be a great player in this league. I think I can get another bag in 2 years. So good for him in showing that level of confidence.
Per Bussin' with the Boys, I know their friend Kittle is friends with the guys who host that podcast. So they were the one that originally broke the news. And they said it's 4 years, like you said, 76.4 million, 19.1 per year. It's 40 million guaranteed, 35 million he got at signing. So today he had put the quill pen to paper. And then 5 million guaranteed in, he gets the other part of the 40, the 5 million in 2027.
Okay, but it's only 5 million.
Yeah. So you can still move off. Now Kittle has obviously stated before that he wants to retire as a 49er. He also made it really clear to start this offseason. He went on a couple podcasts and he said it was important to him that he wanted to hit that 10-year club. With this contract, he will hit the 10-year club. I think he's going into year 10 now or year 9 now.
I think
but
it's 9.
I know this throughout this contract, he will end up hitting that.
Yeah.
Like you said, whether or not he gets one additional contract from a team and actually retires a Niner is still kind of up in there depending on how he's playing.
Well, I think the Niners would honor that at that point in time, given what Kittle has given the team, that they would want him to retire a Niner and George would want to do the same thing. So I don't think there's any option that he would go elsewhere.
I agree. And it seems like both of them, like I said, I thought Kittle was going to, and if he wanted to, could have, flexed his hand a little harder and asked for 20. It seems like, yes, he wanted to be the highest paid tight end, but he's not so committed to, I feel like he's made a lot of money at this point and he wants to be a 49er. So he wasn't going to make this difficult, where we've seen other guys, and I'm not judging guys for however they go about this, getting as much money as possible. But it seems like George Kittle keeps in mind that he wants to be with the 49ers. And so he's trying to get the most money that he can, but also he'd take less to stay here, is the vibe that I'm getting so far.
Yeah. That he didn't hold out for 20 is to his credit.
Yes.
And other players in that setting probably would have said, no, I want my 20. So it shows a level of maturity for Kittle to say, no, what really matters to me here is highest paid in the league.
Yeah.
And that's a veteran move.
Said,
that's somebody that knows that, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Just make sure that I've got my cachet.
I was going to say, I like what you said about that. Like, he hosts the tight end university. He wants to be seen as a leader in the 49ers locker room, but also amongst kind of all tight ends. So he wants to be able to have that status.
Fraternity of tight ends, right?
Yes. First of all, I love George Kittle. He is 31. He's turning 32 in October. If he were to play out the entirety of this deal, he would be 36 by the time it's over, or during that season, his final season of this deal. My initial reaction, and once again, I am a 49er fan. I feel like I watch a lot of people who maybe more report on the team and try to be more objective. And I definitely do, I think, criticize the team a lot. But I have a soft spot in my heart for George Kittle. I really like him. So my initial reaction was like, 100%, this is the best. First of all, what a steal. Like, the fact that tight ends make so much less than other positions is just so good for the 49ers. They're two best players, depending on how you put Trent Williams and Nick Bosa. But two of their best players, let's say, they lucked out because their positional value is less. So Fred Warner and George Kittle, even if they're making the top of what a linebacker or a tight end makes, it's still like George Kittle's making less than Brandon Ayuk got paid. And George Kittle is clearly a better, player and more important to this offense than Brandon Ayuk is. And I'm not trying to put down Brandon Ayuk. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's just one of those quirks. They're fortunate. Right.
Now, not trying to say.
But it's cool that helps them. Is having the tight end as your best player, your best weapon on offense is helpful financially.
Yes.
Just because the way the market sets. But yeah.
So those are like I said, my initial reactions were very positive. Then I did see Eric Branch, who is a reporter for the 49ers. He kind of mentioned, hey, George Kittle played through a broken, rib. He has a torn shoulder. He's played through multiple lower body injuries. He's 31. Is this a good deal or is it not? And I was like, oh, I didn't even think of, like, my initial fan reaction was so like, oh yeah, I love George Kittle, that I kind of didn't think about it from a team building perspective. All offseason, the 49ers have talked about wanting to get younger and cheaper. And I don't know if they really did that in free agency, but in the draft, we definitely saw that. And I praised, we'll get into our draft grades in a minute, process versus players. But a lot of the players I liked, even though maybe there's some development that needs to go on because they're much younger. And I liked that the 49ers were kind of staying true to what they said about getting younger and kind of going to rebuild their team. I don't think it's horrible to have a few older veterans that are kind of setting the standard as you're bringing up older guys. And I imagine
as a team leader on top of that too.
And I imagine during Kittle's contract, there will be like a transition at some point, not saying this year, of we'll you're the tight end that's getting the most snaps ever on this team to you are just a enthusiastic leader. John Lynch praised Kittle for his leadership within the locker room, for his enthusiasm within the locker room, how he brings up players. If we go to Jake Moody, sorry, this thought just came to me, but when we're talking about captains and leaders, last year, both Kittle and Deebo Samuel were leaders. Jake Moody misses the 4 kicks in one game situation. Deebo's yelling at him and almost, pseudo punches him. George Kittle has his arm around him. So you really see Captain George come out. Like I said, great player on the field, wants to be the best. What a steal. The fact the 49ers, got him in the 5th round. He turned out to be so incredible. But he has suffered with a lot of injuries. He's kind of had 2 years where he's re-accelerated. But there was a little while there where people were bringing up, when Kittle's contract is done, you shouldn't extend him, but or you should look to trade him because he's breaking down.
Right.
And that wasn't necessarily wrong at the time.
No, but to his credit, he recovered from that and played well. To answer Eric Branch's question, I think that, yeah, it's worth it. Was Kittle the best tight end in the league last year? Yes. He has shown that he can recover from those injuries and get back to the player he is and lead the team and be a great blocker and be a great tight end. So he does all those things. Forgive me, from the chat, Rio Ken asked me a question. Thanks for the kind words on that. Did the Saints save us from picking Banks? Not really, because the Niners were trying to trade up for Mykel Williams anyway. It was clear that Mykel was the guy they wanted and they were after, because they were trying to trade up for Williams at 8 and couldn't make that happen, but it shows that's the guy that they were focused on.
Yeah. So whether or not they would have, the Saints would have gotten him, it looks like the 49ers sights were on someone else, which is good. I mean, that shows some credence to your evaluation, Tom. They had both Mykel in for a visit, and they also had Banks in for a visit. So it's nice that they were able to kind of come to a similar conclusion that you were, that maybe he wouldn't be the best on this team, even though offensive line was a big need. So is stopping the run, and they went with the better player out of those two.